Hi, so now let's talk about the front legs. So you've been given in your in the project summary measurements for the front leg and for the back leg. The front leg, which we're going to do in this video, is it measures 9 inches. This is, as I said in yours, this is 2 inches. This is 1 inch. This is 2 inches. 2 inches. And this is 1 inch and 1 inch. I configured this. If you want to do this slightly differently, that's fine. I've cut these off of my main amount of wire. I still have enough for 2 legs, and there's some support wire that we need for the end. So this is the front leg, and this is to help the leg attach to the main part of the body, and then it comes down, and this is a knee or a joint, and this is where the foot starts. But you also want to make sure that your piece has some girth, it has some width. This is a 3-dimensional piece, and this is the hips and the back, this is the front. And you want to, every time you add a piece of wire to this, you're going to reinforce it. But let's first talk about bending this wire. Now, the first thing you want to do is, I'm going to mark on here each one of these measurements. 2 inches, 1 inch. Here is another one. Here's another 2. And here is another one. So I have 2 of these. I have 2 front legs, I have 2 back legs. So I'm going to do that here too. And you notice it's not quite straight. That's fine. I just want the length. If you have to compensate a little bit with the foot in the end, that's fine. And I want you to watch me do a couple of bends before we start actually bending the legs. So when you do this, a couple of you tried this the other day. This is a really good pair of pliers, and it's really well made. It's got this wonderful tip on it, which measures exactly, by the way, I thought it was 3/8. It's not. It's 5/16. So that's a good amount of steel on there to really hold the wire. And what I want you to start doing is you have to bend this wire so that we can create the armature that we're doing. This guy right here. All right. And you hold the wire really stiff, and you can bend this against the pliers, and that will make a beautiful bend. So what I'm going to do, wait, I'm going to position this differently. I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to bend that straight up with my thumb into the metal, the pliers. And that is a really good bend. You can't do that without this. It's not possible. So I'm going to take this again. I'm going to hold it really firm with my right hand. I'm right-handed. And I'm going to take my thumb and bend it straight, like a sharp turn into the pair of pliers. And I have this wonderful bend there. And we're going to do it one more time. And I recommend that, as another bend, that you're going to do this a couple times. And I want you to post this online and maybe do 1, 2, 3, do maybe 4 or 5. But you want to practice it. I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend it again. Push it really hard with your thumb into the pair of pliers. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. You may want to practice a little bit more with that. Don't remember though, you got 2 more legs you got to make out of this. And then what you could do is just cut this with your wire cutter, and I'd like you to take a picture of this. So I see, just post it in there, and I can see that you really know how to do this. The first thing you're going to do. Now we're going to tack something a little bit harder. So here is the head of my animal, and this is the tail down here. And I would like to make this leg. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to put this, usually what I have is I have kids, they have the piece sitting in front of them. So it's easy to kind of gauge, all right, I got to do this next. And it is hard. Now on here, it says front leg. It says start here. It says that right here on the paper, or at least here. I don't know if it says it on yours in your printout, but here is this, and I'm going to grab that first marking I have on there, and I'm going to bend it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to put the plier right by that mark, and I'm going to bend it. Now, what this is going to do, if you look over here, is this is the piece that's going to attach to your armature. So if I have this piece here, I've already started, which is really exciting. I'm going to put this is going to go right here. So that's going to attach here with tape. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to do the knee bend, the bend down here. It's not really a knee, it's more a joint bend. And again, wait a minute, I did something wrong. We have to make this come out first. That's not the one we're doing. We're going to come out here. So we're going to do this one right here. So that's what's going to make our animal have some girth. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend it down like this. And this is going to fit right on there like that. What I suggest you do is you watch this video a couple of times because you don't have the piece in front of you. Usually I'd have like 10 of these in the room and everyone would grab it and they would say, oh, this is how you do this. It's a little harder on here, but you can do it. It's going to be fine. Now, the first thing I want to do is, before I do the next one, is I want to make sure that this is, you see how it's kind of straight and it doesn't follow this shape? I want this to attach to here really well with the tape, and I can't do that if this is really curved. So what I'm going to do is, before I do the knee bend, is I want to make sure that this bends to the same curve as this. So I'm going to take my plier, and I'm going to, you bend it, and and this is a gentle bend. It's not such a harsh bend than what I did before. And all of a sudden, you see how that bends? And that's good. That's great. So let's go back to here again. I'm going to do this one. Now, I'm not going to do such a severe turn this time, such a severe bend. I'm going to grab it where that little dot is that I marked, and I'm going to bend it ever so slightly forward. That's it. That's all I want to do. Okay. And then you see this down. So I got this. And I have that. Now I want to do the foot. Now what I recommend for us for right now, don't do the final, this part, the foot. That's all you're going to do is a little bend like that. And that is going to go here. Now what I'm going to do is this goes right here. And I'm going to attach this to here. I'm going to do that right now. Now, with the tape, you are going to need tape with this too. I'm going to take my tape. And in class, what I usually have people do is I have you cut off about 4 pieces of tape because it's hard to cut off every time, but that's okay. You're going to cut it off like this, nice and even. And I'm going to put this just as it is here. I want to put this right on, we'll call it the spine. It's not a spine, but we'll just call it that. And I'm going to, see that leg is going to go like that. And this is going to go in, the tape is going to go here. And throughout this entire project, I cannot stress enough how much you guys have to do everything tightly. You can't do this wonky. All right, I didn't show you. Oops, sorry. All right. When you tape this, you've got to tape this on here really tightly, like that. And in fact, I don't like how this is bending. So I'm going to bend this a little bit more like that there. And I'm going to put this around like this. Bend it. And that is really nice and tight. It's very tight. Now I have my other leg. Now this is the trick. So a couple tricks with this. This leg goes this way. This leg bends the other way. It's exactly the same, but you got to change this part so it fits the right leg, not the left leg. That's the one we did. So let's do that right now. So what I recommend is that you constantly look back at what you had. And I go, okay, this is tricky. I'm looking at this thing and I got to make sure this is the start. This goes right here. So I'm going to bend this again like this. And what I recommend when you do this is that you're going to check it every time. So this leg just went that way, went to the left. Now this one is going to go to the right. It's going to go right here like this. Just like that. See that? And then I have that other mark that's right here, and that's going to go shoot down like this. So let's do that. And I've got this thing in front. I'm going to shoot this a little bit so you can see that. We're doing this right here. And I'm going to do that hip so that it pops out more. And as I said, I am very right-handed, but that's okay. You guys can all do this. Now, I bent that. See that? Actually, you didn't see it because the camera was the other way. Anyway, what I did is I held it here and I bent the wire down that way. Now let's see. And this is going to go right here. Same way it did. Let's put this, the animal, we're going to put this right here. And these should match. I would say this is a little bit wider than that one, but I can live with that. And I also would like to make sure that my piece curves along the body of the wire. So I'm going to do this again, what I did before. I'm going to just curve this ever so slightly and move it with the plier. And all right. If you don't have a pair of pliers, by the way, for this project, you can't do the project. You can't. It doesn't work that way. Now, I'm going to tape this on here right now. I'm going to cut another piece of tape. And I'm cutting about 2 inches off. No more. I don't need any more than that. And you have it, we're not using the wire that I gave you, the thin wire, the 28 gauge wire. So I'm going to put this on here. I need to line up this with this. You see that? Should be able to see that. And then I'm going to put the tape pretty securely on there. I'm going to hold this and then I'm going to wrap it as tightly as I can. Okay. Now, this has got to bend as well a little bit. So I'm going to go to that mark I made on there, and I'm going to just pop this forward like that, just a little bit. And then I'm going to go down to the foot where the foot is, and I'm going to do the same thing. So now, can you stand it? There it is. You've got this fabulous you've got the start of a wonderful animal. Isn't that great? So you're going to put the back legs on here, and I'm going to show you how to do that because this is hard. This part you're going to put a little wire on. You're going to do wire here too. Now, we might as well do this right now because it's really important. This measures, this measures 2.5 inches. So I would like to cut off of here 2.5 inches of wire. I'm going to show you. And when you're doing this whole project, what I recommend is that you check. And there's this old thing that you say about anything, about cutting. measure twice and cut once. Measure twice and measure once, measure twice and cut once. So that's, I know that this is 2.5 inches, and I'm going to cut it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece of wire the way I did here. You see that? This will help hold it together better. So you're going to put this piece here, like that. See that? And I'm going to cut 2 pieces of tape. About 2 inches as well. 2 inches of tape. Another 2 inches of tape. I'm going to use my little handy video camera here to hold the tape for a second. And I'm going to, and all of this takes 2 hands. The whole thing takes 2 hands. So let's put this in here like this. See that? I'm holding it on the left, and I'm going to tape this. And this tape is about 1 inch. If you have other tape that's wider, that you'll have to cut it. You'll have to cut it in half. I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to wrap this tape as tightly as I can around those 2 pieces of wire, so they're really there. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Remember that measurement was 1 inch. Put this here, like this. Okay, so I hope that you are at this stage. I'm going to change this wire just a bit. And as I said, this wire, by the way, it's 9, so it's pretty sturdy. It's pretty sturdy. That looks great. Now I put this here. I could have maybe put this a little further up here if I wanted to for the head. If you want to have a really long tail, you're going to have to make this longer. And also, you have to select your references on what you want to do before you do this. Because you want to know, you may have to add more on, and you can add more on a tail if you want, but this looks great. And then we're going to do the wire part of the back legs next, and that's this measurement here.